again, John's one of those guys that I've been working with for years, so it's been awesome. Little do you guys know about him. He was probably the most annoying person I've ever met in my entire life. It was like annoying to the verge of trying to avoid him, and then to see like the man he's become now and just watch him serve and step up, it's been outstanding. And like the transition he talks about with his life, abuse and everything else that he was doing to where he is now is the same as his transition from immaturity to becoming a mature man. So he's somebody that is totally worth sitting down and taking a few minutes with. With that, I want to make a confession tonight for myself, a little confession here. I'm kind of a sissy, especially when it comes to getting wet. And for whatever reason, I always seem to be the one that starts it. Don't know why, but I always do. And so tonight, I'm handing out water balloons, and somehow I end up with an extra one. And instead of being responsible, and putting it back and saving for the game, I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to tag Kevin, Greg, and Rob. And so I throw it. It was actually about here. I don't know if you guys saw it. I kind of went up and over, and it landed and it splashed all of them. And of course, you guys saw the outcome of me getting owned by the three of them, or by the one of them, and then the other two, and their poor attempts at toss. And so, and then I love it. I don't know if a lot of you guys are playing a game, but Riley was standing over by the water cooler, and I decided, I'm thirsty, and so I get over there, and I hear the cooler, like, I'm like, oh no. Oh geez, what did I be doing? What did I start? I haven't even done anything. I left the whole part of the story out intentionally. That way I could seem innocent. And I haven't even done anything, right? And they begin and all of them grab all these water balloons. And I'm like, oh shoot. And so Riley, those of you who didn't see Riley, I'm like, oh yes, I just hugged on. I just hugged on to Riley and used him as a human shield, like a big sissy. And he got pelted like 9 times. It was awesome. His whole back was soaked. He totally deserved it. Not really. But it was awesome. And then, I don't know, Austin, I think, was the only one who really saw this. But what's the little guy's name that was over there? No, like the little one. Nathan. So Nathan, just a minute ago, before we started, as you guys were coming over, came running all the way across the field with a water balloon. And then threw it to hit me. And he hit me. I was like, what was that? What did I even do? Yeah, what did I even do? And so then he took off running, and I don't really know where he is now. So maybe later I'll have some people retaliate against him. No, wouldn't do that. But my point is, I kind of shielded myself. I'm a little bit of a sissy girl when it comes to the rain, the wrath of God that came upon me from the rest of the leaders. And what's interesting is I love a story from the Bible. It's one of my favorite stories. Actually, a student in Rockaway shared this story last Sunday with the group. And what he was talking about in the Bible, there's a group of people, and they were ruled by judges, and oftentimes they would turn against God and the way that He had set for them. And what would happen was then nations would come and overrule over them and take over and begin to oppress them and suppress what they could believe and cause this nation to cry out to God. And what happens in this story is this nation is so oppressive. It's so oppressive that they would just come in anytime they were hungry. You ever seen the movie How to Tame Your Dragon, right? And the dragons come flying in and they just eat. They just like take away everything. And then all of a sudden they blow up the whole village and burn everything down, and then they're just like gone. And the Vikings are like, all right, well, we'll start rebuilding. Like, this is a story. Like, I think they must have read this story. As you read it, what happens is this whole group of people will come in and they'll steal their livestock and they'll burn their villages down and they'll kill their people and they'll steal people for slaves. They'll do all this horrible things. And what happens is this story is we find a sorry, sad little man, kind of like myself, when it comes to hiding behind Riley. And we find him, and he's hiding in this little wine cellar. He's hiding in a wine cellar in this dark room, hiding from these people. And what happens in this story is God shows up, an angel of the Lord actually shows up and says to him, hey, mighty warrior. And this guy's like, I think you're on the wrong block. What's the address again? Zip code's right? Check all of that? And he finds out, okay, you've got the right place. You got the right place. And so he's like, but I'm pretty certain you've got the wrong person. You're talking to my brother, you're talking to somebody else. And see, what this story is this boy in the story comes from not only the weakest nation that's being overruled, but it also comes from the weakest family in that nation, weakest tribe, and the weakest family in that tribe, and then the weakest, youngest person in that family. Literally, in this entire nation. It'd be like going through the whole United States and just finding the sorriest, saddest, littlest, scrawny boy, and being like, hey, we're going to use you. We're going to use you. And what's awesome is this boy ends up becoming a man, and he leads an army, and he trusts what God says, and they end up setting themselves free again with this great faith of trusting God. And what's interesting is they come down on an army that was said to be hundreds of thousands strong, and they start their battle with 10,000, and they ultimately go into battle with 300. And not only that, they never even fought, and they end up winning this battle. And so this whole week we spent a lot of time talking about, how to some good points for life. And yesterday, all the way back on Sunday night, we talked about people of influence. John talked about a little bit being people of influence and how we influence others. We talked a little bit about playing with the cards that have been dealt and using those and going after what you need. We talked about using the gifts and all sorts of different things that God has given you. And tonight what we're talking about is no matter where you may seem, like Kendall was talking in her story tonight too, coming down to just being 104 pounds and just this frail little person and coming into who she is now. Think about your life and where you are. Where are you? How small are you? How insignificant do you feel? And the challenge that we're leaving you this time tonight is to dream big. To dream big. To think, you know what? Here I am, growing up, Myrtle Creek, Tri-City, this area. Why am I here? Because I need to dream big. Last night we talked about, you're born to live in this time. You're born for such a time as this. And tonight, I want to reassure that. I want you to know that no matter how small, how insignificant, how screwed up, how messed up things are for you, there's something out there for you, and there's something bigger for you. And you guys, I've been hanging out with a lot of you this week, and I can just see that there's great things invested in each of you. There's great things hidden in each of you trying to get out. And my encouragement is to not be like the guy in the story tonight and hiding and being like, God, I don't know, I don't really know if I've got something, but know that you've got something and you can do amazing things. So like Kendall coming back from the brink of death, really, we want to see you guys come out from where you feel like you're nothing and become something amazing. So be thinking about that. Be asking questions to not only us here that want to hear your stories, but be asking questions to your friends and your teachers and your families, and just really push to dream big. So I'm going to pray, and then Brandon is going to take back over here. So here we go. Dear God, I just thank you for stories of triumph. And God, I also thank you for stories where people fail. God, I pray for this group here, God. I know it's easy to go, you know what, I live kind of out in the middle of nowhere, in a pretty small town. I've never really done nothing, and nobody's ever really come out of here to do much. And God, I pray that the students here today don't ever think that way, God. I pray that they expect, they dream, and they hope for big things and big changes, God. And we just thank you for allowing us to become outstanding people, no matter what the situation is, Lord. And I pray that this week could be an encouragement and a push to do that, God. And now, Lord, I pray that tonight as we go back to church, we have a good time, bring lots of people with us. And also, God, I pray for this game. Last thing, just to